going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be recapping my run in the 1150 buy-in Players Champs from the Sydney Millions about 2 months ago. This is my biggest score ever, so it's a great watch. Got to play on stream for a long time. As you can see, there's 18 left. When we come into the feature table, we are last in chips. We're in the money. Let's give it a spin. One of the first hands we play the feature table, Surya opens in the hijack with ace-jack of clubs. He's one of the chip leaders. He's got an absolute monster of a hand, so he's going to bump it up. And when it folds to us on the button, we see our moment to find that spin. We look down at ace-4 of hearts. We're playing about 10 big blinds. We should have some fold equity against Surya's range. Hands like queen-jack offsuit, jack-10 offsuit that are going to raise fold. And if we get it in, we should have decent enough equity. So after a little think, I go ahead and put all but one chip in, looking to tank for a K-jump. But when we see that we are not on one, we flick in our chip and we see we are in bad shape.
And he's going to see that he's in rough shape, needs a lot of help to find a double up. Needs some hearts, maybe some wheel cards, or just a 4. There's some hearts and some chop outs as well. Needs a 6, 7 heart or 4. He finds the heart.
Don't say too many out.
And as we can see, ace-4 of hearts, the winning hand here. There were a lot of outs. He heard Zach say that, and he finds an all-important double.
390.
And he's a don't.
We find a pretty timely double, and we are up to 22 big blinds. We are cooking, and we are looking to keep the momentum going. A little later, we look down at pocket queens off 15 and we open. We see a call from the small blind, Timon. Play with him very often. He's had some big scores, loves to get in the mix. He comes along and the big blind also calls. So we go three-way, we're short, SPR is low, very important flop. And the dealer does us a favour as it comes 10-8-3 with a flush draw. We have an overpair, we've got a spade, and you can see here we've put a pretty nasty cooler on Timon, unfortunately. When it checks to us, we want to use a slightly bigger size exploitatively, just because our hand's a little bit vulnerable, and we are playing against a splashier player who may not notice this subtle difference in sizing. So we go ahead and bet 135,000. And with ace-10, Timon elects to just put the rest of the chips in. He jams, and as you can see, we beat him into the pot. We need to dodge an ace or a 10. Backdoor spades won't do us any help either. Let's hold.
Yet. He's got to worry about some backdoor spades, an ace or a 10. And that's as clean as it gets for Zach to move above the 30 big blind mark.
And just like that, this is starting to become a serious run. We've got 33 big blinds now. We sucked out once. We got it in with the best hand and won the second time. Let's keep going. Fast forward a few hands later, and it folds to Wallace in the small blind, and he peels ace-4 offsuit. I play with Wallace most weeks. He's a very aggressive player. I know he's going to be raising this spot super wide, and I peel a hand that is really a good candidate to put in the 3-bet with. We want to be using these high card, low card, disconnected offsuit hands that have pretty poor playability post flop, but can win the pot now and take it down. So I put in a time bank and then grab my nuts in my hands and make it 375 to go.
And blind on blind action here. Wallace opens it up with the ace-4 off. Zach here with king-6. He's more than a capable player of potentially even 3-betting this hand. We might see... Oh, yep, he goes for it. He loves this. He knows Wallace's tendencies, knows that Wallace can be opening light from the small blind. And Zach fires back. Question is, Wallace's hand isn't that weak. But out of the small blind, when you're facing a 3-bet with ace-4 offsuit, we really don't love it.
Chris on commentary's right. With ace-4 offsuit, we really don't love it. Unless Wallace wanted to do something really spicy, which he definitely is capable of. I think it's pretty easy fold, and after a while, he comes to that decision and lets it go. A little bit later, we play our biggest pot of the tournament so far. Starts off with Surya opening from the cutoff with ace-7 of diamonds, and Wallace chooses to flat on the button with the king-jack off. We peel king-queen off in the small blind, and in-game, I thought that this was going to be a pretty clear call pre. We don't really want to 3-bet and then have to call against Surya if he jams. We dominate Wallace's king-jack on the button. We can see that Danny also has king-6 of diamonds, so we do a good job at dominating both of them. I'll put the solution here, but I thought that call was going to be pretty good in game, and that's what I opted for. The dealer puts out a pretty good looking queen 7 deuce rainbow. I check, Danny checks from the big blind. Surya has a decision whether to bet or check with his nut 7. He opts to check, and Wallace also checks it back. The dealer puts out a repeat 7 on the turn, and I have a decision between bet or check. 4-way, I prefer to check. My hand's pretty invulnerable. There is 7x still in there from Danny, Surya, and Wallace, who all like to mix it up pre. So I think letting them bluff it off, if possible, is the best route. Danny also checks, and Surya has a very easy bet with his hand, and he wants to try and get all of the money in, if possible. After a bit of a think, he goes for a bet of 155,000, and once Wallace gets out of the way, I have a pretty easy call. Don't want to raise this spot. He can still have ace queen or 7x, pocket kings, pocket aces, and we want to let him bluff it off if that's a option at all. So we check call, and Danny folds. Unfortunately, no help for us when the dealer puts out the 6 of spades on the river. We check, and now in Surya's shoes, he wants to go for the max. I'm struggling in hindsight to see how I can get away from this. In game, I thought maybe there could be a possibility that I could release. This spot seems pretty underbluffed, but if there was anyone at the table that was capable of bluffing it off, it was definitely Surya. So after he bets a very healthy 580,000, I take a little bit of time, but I don't think I can go anywhere. I call, we see the bad news, we lose an absolutely massive pot, and after spinning it up, we are back to where we started.
Yep, nod of the head, and Zach's just going to regret that one a little bit. Not much he can do post-flop. And that's a rough one if you're Zach.
Yeah.
We've got to pick ourselves back up and get back on the horse. We win a couple of small pots, up to about 20 bigs. There's 11 left, and we peel 2 10s from under the gun. We open things up to 160,000, and it folds to Peter AU in the small blind. He's one of Sydney's best dregs, won a lot of money over the years, and it's actually a pretty close spot for him. I think just good enough to jam. It's probably the very bottom, but he doesn't want to wait around any longer. He goes ahead and puts his stack in, and we have no decision but to call. This is an absolutely huge flip worth thousands of dollars in EV. Let's hold.
Here's the flop from Amanda. We've got a 3, an ace, and we've got 3, 10 ace. And we've got a
fade,
king.
a jack, or a club.
And there we go. The 10's hold.
Pocket 10's flopping a set, but there were the outs to a straight still available for Peter. Or he could have hit a club on the river. But nice to hold, and we are now on the bubble for the final table. And we win.
As Danny so eloquently put it, it was a fucking ugly term, but we held somehow, and now we're just one spot off the final table with 66k up top.
Sometimes it's not related to the name, it's just about their character. No, as we look around the room, there's Jamie getting some footage. There's the secondary table. And
How long did break?
in the orange.
we've reached final table. So ladies and gents, we're going to bring our stream to the close at the moment. We're going to have plenty more fun conversation shortly after this break. We will be back for our final 9 here in the Players Champs Day 2.
I can help you move that.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back very soon. 42 grand. And first, 66,000. Those prices for first and second are inclusive of a $2,000.
Alright, we're here. Our biggest final table ever, 66k up top. And things kick off with Majid jamming in the hijack for 13 big blinds with pocket 4s. The older gentleman peels ace queen offsuit and has a very easy get in. Takes him a little bit of time to come to the right decision, but he ends up sending it in the middle. The blinds fold and we are off to the races. This is a sick run out.
Pocket 4s up against ace queen. Fahadi really took his time before making this play. I thought he might have even considered folding at one point. And there's a queen high flop. Diamonds are covered by the ace of diamonds. Needs a lot of help on this river. And that is the help he needed. Oh, look at him. And Fahadi's not happy. And understandably so. It's as good as a flop gets for ace queen with the ace of diamonds. A monotone all diamond flop that is queen high. Wow.
Yeah, we get scammed out of a pay jump with a absolutely ridiculous river straight out of a Hollywood movie. We stay at 9 and on we go. We do, however, get to 8 shortly after when Fari busts in 9th place, and a little bit after that we peel King Jack offsuit in the cutoff off 15. Definitely just going to open this one, no need to jam. We make it 2.1 big blinds and it folds to Michelle in the big blind, who peels Queen 10 off and has a very easy defend. About 9-3-4 with 2 spades. Good flop for our range with all the overpairs that we can have and Michelle can't. So we go ahead and elect to range bet for 155k. In a non-ICM heavy scenario, I'll be using a bigger size on this board, but just because we're so short and I have both the nut and range advantage, I'm going to opt for a small bet with my entire range. You don't see it here, but surprisingly Michelle check calls, which I didn't expect from a player type such as his, but I think it would be a pretty speculative call in theory, even with the 10 of spades. We see a very pleasing ace of diamonds, and when he checks, I decide to go for a very small bet just to fold out his random floats, probably make him overfold his 3x and 4x, and just generally put pressure on a player that's sitting in a pretty passive line right now. So I go ahead and go for a small bet of 175k and he quickly folds. We then pick up 2 jacks in the hijack of 20 bigs, absolute dream spot. Danny is in the big blind, he's been playing lots of hands and we are keen to get in the mix with him. We go ahead and open, and when it folds around to him, he definitely is not folding the jack deuce of clubs, despite it being a couple of pips outside what would be traditionally defended on a final table. This is more of an ish than a GTO, that's for sure. So he defends and we see queen 5 with 2 clubs, giving Danny a flush draw and me a pretty nice looking middle pair. So when he checks, I think I have a very mandatory bet, and I would have liked to have seen myself go a bit bigger, just exploiting the fact that Danny's going to be floating way too wide. Nonetheless, we go with a pretty standard quarter to 20% pot, and Danny comes with check call. Unfortunately, the king of spades pops off on the turn, downgrading our hand, but I'm still kind of liking where we're at. I mean, the only king x that we lose to really is king x of clubs, but with Danny floating a little bit wider than usual, it might lean me more towards checking, which is what I do in game. We dodge the club on the river, it's the 6 of spades, and after a bit of thinking, Danny puts out a bet of 550,000, and versus this player, I am just going to range call him here. He's going to be floating way too wide, he's not going to have enough value. I call, and we beat the jack deuce of clubs, and rake in a nice pot to put us near the top of the chip counts.
And that's the key thing. That's where information is key about your opponents. And we've seen how Danny's been playing. So a nice pick off there from Zach.
We then are down to 7 when Uno finds the sicko check jam on the river with middle pair and blockers. And Surya, after a long tank, calls it off with 2 pair and is good, banking us another couple of $1,000s. Not long after, Majid jams button for 6 bigs, we peel 2 8s in the small. Very easy, get in for us, we go ahead and do so, but unfortunately we do not win the all-in, and we are down to 15 big blinds or so. Apologies for not showing the run out here, there was a little spoiler in the original live stream which I had to cut out, but I promise you, there's more action to come. Danny is the next to depart us. He loses with his queen 10 suited against king jack for 3.5 big blinds. We're down to 6, the money is getting serious. We've just locked up 13k, and then shortly after, Michelle's all in with the deuces against Surya's ace 9. And with how he's been running, there was never any doubt that he was going to win the hand. We lock up our biggest score ever, $16,000. There's 4 people standing between us and $63,000, as well as the Players Champs trophy. Now, if there's one hand I regret from this tournament, this is definitely the one. Starts off with everyone folding around to Majid, who peels 8-6 of clubs in the small blind, off about 10 bigs. He goes for a limp, which is completely standard, and I look down at ace-jack offsuit in the big blind, off about a similar stack. Now I really wish that I just went ahead and jammed here, but thinking in game I thought my hand might be too good to just whack and I might want to ISO it. In hindsight, the offsuit just doesn't play well enough post. Ace-jack suited, sure you could maybe make a case for ISOing, but not only did I incorrectly ISO here, I used much too small of a size. Wanted to go around 2.8x, 2.75x. But unfortunately, I only made it about 2.3 or 4 big blinds. This led to Majid coming along with his suited gapper, which don't know if is standard. Probably don't want to be doing this with 8 high at this SPR in an ICM heavy scenario. But nonetheless, he elects to come along, and we can see that the graphic error is not telling the true story of what the flop was. It was something like 974 or 975, maybe 864. It was a middling texture, and he just went ahead and turbo donk jammed the flop. And you can see my displeasure at what has transpired. Just jam pre, don't be fancy. You can see I have the ace jack there, and I'm down to 7.4 big blinds and in desperate need of a spin. A little later, Surya peels 8-6 of diamonds, and I think looking back on this, he has a hand that would be a very good open jam covering everybody. Anya would have to call super tight, and us short stacks, we're trying to fight for the next pay jump, but nonetheless he goes and raises to 2 big blinds. Anya makes a pretty good fold with king queen off, and I peel ace king off about 7.5 bigs. Absolute dream for us. We go ahead and zip it in, and Surya now puts himself in an awkward spot between wanting to keep one of the shorties alive and busting someone at the table. But he eventually comes to the decision to flick it in and call, and we are flipping for our tournament life.
It's just not a surprise, but Zach with a chance to double up here, get himself back in the game. Okay,
That is not a
and that is
chance.
he's no longer going to get back in the game. And a fourth diamond just to rub it in.
That's how you do it. Flop the flush.
Flop a flush.
Zach's pretty much dead on the flop.
Yeah, well, it's a good run from Zach Gay. I do believe that is his best live cash. He's been on the scene for a number of years now and does a lot of work behind the scenes. He's known to put in the study. He's always good to chat with about certain spots, what to do in certain situations, and there's no harsher critic of his own play than himself.
A bit worried about his shoelace there, so hope he doesn't trip on the way out. But yeah, good run from Zach. I think it's going to be a new high score through.
A couple of months later, but good to look back on this run. Going through, need to stop being so hard on myself. I am putting in the work and I'm executing, and I need to just stop questioning when something's difficult, because just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not worth doing. And like ISOing that ace jack spot, it was worth it because you're going to gain a lot of EV in the long run from doing things like that. If you enjoyed the video, guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. We've got a banger coming out to end 2025. It is a big cash and we might be saving our year. Stay tuned for that, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.